It's a little bit of a funny story because I love it whenever the alphabet agencies get fucked off. I just enjoy it. I enjoy it very much. Men who posed as federal agents are national security risk. Federal prosecutors. Two men gave lavish gifts to U.S. Secret Service agents. The two men accused of impersonating federal law enforcement agents are a risk to national security, government prosecutors said in a court document. Thank you very much for clearing that up. I would have had no idea. Pushing to keep the men in custody Friday. In compromising at least four members of the US, I think that's the Secret Service, they caused a risk to national security and the functioning of an essential government agency protecting the nation's leadership, Assistant US Attorney Josh Rothstein wrote in the document. Because of the nature and circumstances of the defendant's conduct, this factor points in favour of detention. These guys are definitely going to get jailed. The judge did not make a ruling on their detention Friday. The parties will be back in court on Monday. Aryan Tahirzadeh and Haider Ali stand accused of impersonating federal law enforcement agents as well as giving lavish gifts to US Secret Service agents and their families. The pair was arrested on Wednesday. They are not law enforcement agents and they are not involved in sanctioned covert activities, prosecutors wrote in the detention memo. Neither defendant is even employed by the United States government, but their impersonation scheme was sufficiently realistic to convince other government employees, including law enforcement agencies, of their false identities. The federal government also alleges that after Taherzadeh was arrested, he was interviewed and admitted to posing as a law enforcement officer and providing free rent to US Secret Service agents. He also allegedly provided a doomsday bag, generator, flat screen television, two iPhones, a drone, a gun locker, a Pelican gun case, and a mattress to agents and officers of the Secret Service. I don't understand it. Well, maybe the iPhones are lavish gifts, but a lot of this is weird. It seems like, see, these type of things, like a Secret Service agent doesn't just come up to you and go, "Hi, can I have a doomsday bag, a drone, and a gun locker?" Right? These aren't just standard gifts. I think these were things that were to be used in operations. They're like these are not standard gifts. These are things that you would use in an operation. Lawyers for the government were grilled by Judge Michael Harvey on the source of the funding for the men, saying they could have put all of the charges on credit and asking whether any gifts were exchanged between U.S. Secret Service agents and the two men. Who is funding the scheme? If it is Mr. Ali buying that day's lunch at Chick-fil-A, it's far less important, Harvey said. Both of those answers the government acknowledged they do not know. So it's looking an awful lot like these men were not just like, you get those like weirdo guys that like pretend to be cops or pretend to be AMTs because they want to have a little bit of a LARP for some reason. That's like a really fucking common thing. These guys, two of them working together, especially if it was one guy, I would think, okay, maybe this is a LARP, maybe. Two guys, and the government cannot find where their funding is coming from. Nah, foreign agency. The scale of the compromise situation that they created is quite large, and it's causing us to have to send agents out to interview many, many people. These aren't people just dressing up for Halloween. This is very serious, Rothstein said. In an interview with agents, Taherzadeh said his co-conspirator Ali funded most of their day-to-day operation, but he did not know the source of the money. Interesting. The assistant US attorney said Ali has some sort of citizenship status in Pakistan, citing an ID card from the country. The government said they will do more digging over the weekend. Ali, Rothstein said, was born in Pakistan. The identification card is relevantly new. Rothstein also revealed the men had immigration documents of certain people who are in the building, and the government is trying to figure out if those documents are real. So they could be illegal immigrants traveling on fake papers to infiltrate the Secret Service. Yeah, this isn't a LARP. This isn't a LARP. This is a foreign nation. The government also revealed Taherzadeh was a special police officer, which, according to Rothstein, is a contracted company that stands in building lobbies, and the suspect was working in this capacity at some time. I don't want to spend time with additional amorphous representation, Harvey told the prosecutors, asking for more details on the entirety of the case. Charging documents unsealed Wednesday show the men attempted to give members of the Secret Service not only rent worth up to $40,000, but also weapons, including offering to purchase a $2,000 assault rifle for a member of First Lady Jill Biden's detail. Prosecutors said in the court filing they compromised US Secret Service personnel involved in protective details and with access to the White House complex by lavishing gifts upon them, including rent-free living, and I guarantee you those apartments would be bugged. The government added they procured, stored and used all of the tools of law enforcement and covert tradecraft, weaponry including firearms, scopes and brass knuckles, surveillance equipment including a drone, antenna, hard drives and hard drive copying equipment, tools to manufacture identities, including a machine to create personal identification verification (PIV) cards and passport photographs, and tactical gear, including vests, gas masks, breach equipment, police lights, and various law enforcement insignia. Yep, definitely not LARPers. An assistant US attorney representing the government said at a previous court hearing on Thursday that Ali has claimed to witness to have connections to the ISI, which is the Pakistani intelligence service, and the government found 3 Pakistani visas as well as 2 Iranian there it is, from July 31st, 2018 through December 28th, 2019, and dates. And we know that because the conduct and the complaint starts in February of 2020. Prosecutors have also alleged the men kept binders full of residents who lived in the luxury Washington, D.C. Navy Yard building. Several residents who spoke to ABC News were disturbed by the details outlined in the government's allegations, including that the accused had a list of residents in the complex. It was pretty crazy. I just got home from work and just saw a bunch of FBI agents in the lobby. Building resident Thomas Lee told ABC News, "It's scary, it's my place of living. I just came home and then there's just FBI agents. I'm like, what's going on?" And there we go. That is the end of the article. So these 2 gentlemen, definitely not LARPers. Definitely not LARPers. The Pakistani, Pakistan works rather closely with certain enemies of America. And I did sort of think it was Iran, but there wasn't any evidence. But the 2 Iranian passports, yeah, they're definitely not LARPers. The guys that have access to 2 illegal immigrants who've came in on like they've not snuck in, they've came in the normal regular way with forged documents. They're able to live in quite an affluent area, they're able to procure drones and guns, and they're like, oh yeah, we'll pay your rent of 40 grand, like it's fucking nothing and all that. Like, these guys, it's Iran, especially the fact is we've came this far. Like, usually whenever it comes to a source of funding, like alphabet agencies, they can find that just like that. They're able to issue warrants to foreign banks, and foreign banks always hand it over. What's it called? I know that Interpol is one version of that, but there's a different one, which is the global one. Fuck it, I forget the name of it. But it's a system like that where banks all over the world share that information, except from certain countries. So the fact that they so far haven't been able to establish where the funding even came from, it's Iran. It's definitely Iran. And by the way, this is something to watch out for as well, because this is happening a hell of a lot more. There was actually a Tory MP who was just caught out. I don't know if you've seen the picture of him where he's sitting there posing for a picture next to a bacon tray covered in coke, right, with the little lines all cut out and everything. And he's basically, that's his career over. But it turns out that the woman he was seeing is a little bit suspect, and basically the government believes that she works for a foreign entity. And apparently this is something that happens an awful lot. This is what 3-letter agencies do this shit all the time. If you're a person of some note, or even anything down to a civil servant up to someone high in the government, you're sitting there in a bar, just like minding your own business, and then this absolutely stunningly fucking beautiful woman walks up to you and starts talking to you. That right away is a red flag, right? Because you've seen politicians. They're not handsome people, right? And if you've got this fucking supermodel walking up to you and talking to you, that immediately is a red flag. Instantly a red flag. Right, and that's one thing, is after what happened to that Tory MP, governments are now putting out warnings to all of its employees going, yeah, watch out for this shit. People are going for the old school honeypot. That's how they managed to get a Tory MP, because he thought it'd be cool, and I'm going to buy cocaine to impress this very beautiful 20-something-year-old woman that wants to sleep with my geriatric 60-year-old ass. Fucking idiot. Right, fucking idiot, man. The instant she approached him, he should have been fucking wiser. But, however, that is something that, given the current tensions all over the world, we're definitely going to be seeing a lot more of this.